In April on Roanoke County Today, we learned some tips for hiking safely, plus find out about the Reimagine projects. This and more coming up on RCT.
I'm visiting here today at the Department of Social Services to talk with Ben Jones and Robin Freeman, staff
Hey there.
here. Thanks for joining me today. And we're going to talk about a special month that isn't talked about enough, I think. So Ben, start us out. What is the month of April?
Sure. For social services and child welfare in general, April is Child Abuse Awareness Month. That's the month where we particularly highlight the risks of children in our area of abuse and neglect, as well as the professionals who work day in and day out to try to manage that risk, to support families, and when they have to intervene in emergency situations. That's why I'm really happy to bring my colleague Robin Freeman. Robin is the senior worker on the Child Protective Services team, which we're going to call CPS, and she knows a lot about the field because she's worked there a little while.
Okay, and so what does a CPS investigator do to help protect and preserve the children and families in our community?
Child Protective Services worker uses effective intervention to enter into relationships with the family, the alleged victim, the alleged perpetrator, in a non-judgmental way to offer support. We try to bring organization into the chaotic lives of the family, of the children. And specifically, we will conduct an initial safety assessment and develop a safety plan for the child if needed. In a nutshell, we assess safety and risk. We look for signs of injury, abuse, and neglect. In the most serious situations, we ask that the child be placed away from the alleged perpetrator. And sometimes that means out of the home.
It's a very difficult job.
It is.
Lots of challenges.
But here in Roanoke County, we do have a lot of support and collaboration with our community partners.
And talk to me a little bit, what are some of the important facts about child abuse and neglect?
Most child abuse occurs within the family. And some of the significant risk factors include parental depression, mental health issues, a parental history of childhood abuse and neglect, and domestic violence. Child neglect and other forms of maltreatment stem from children who live in poverty. Child abuse and neglect is not a direct result of poverty. If a parent has experienced child abuse and neglect, that does not mean that they will in turn abuse and neglect their children. But those are the overlying risk factors that we see. Those are the commonalities.
Some things that can happen. And what are some of the myths?
That child abuse only happens in some parts of society. Some folks think that child abuse doesn't occur in the higher economic levels or in families with a strong religious faith. And unfortunately it happens. It crosses all religions, all faith bases, all incomes,
Can happen
all races.
anywhere, anytime to anybody.
Another common myth is that children are victimized by creepy psychopathic strangers, when 90% or more of the abuse and neglect occurs by someone the child knows.
And talk about what are some of the facts about Child Protective Services?
Child Protective Services is recognized in all 50 states. There are laws enacted to protect the safety of children. Physical signs include any injury, a bruise, burn, fracture, abdominal or head injury that cannot be explained. Typically, parents, caretakers know how an injury has occurred to a child. When it absolutely cannot be explained, that's a red flag. Another physical sign of abuse and neglect is when children don't gain weight and the and organic factors have been ruled out.
I bet people don't know what CPS workers do. Like, when you guys get the call, what happens next? Like, give a sample idea of when you get the call, Robin, that there's an allegation. What do you do professionally? What are the next steps?
Well, the first step is to determine if it meets criteria. We're only involved if the allegation of abuse and neglect includes a child under the age of 18 and by a caretaker, being a parent or a babysitter or a foster parent. And then we respond. We typically talk to the child or children without notifying the alleged abuser. We try to notify them as quickly as possible. And then we speak with teachers or counselors or coaches or whoever may be involved in the child's life, the family, the alleged perpetrator. And our goal is to strengthen the family. We ask the courts to be involved if we determine that the child is at imminent risk of abuse and neglect, and the court can hold the family to task, to participate in services with us when we deem that's necessary.
There's a lot that goes into that.
There's a lot that goes into that.
Right. And if someone suspects that there is child abuse or neglect, what should they do? Who should they call to report a concern?
You can call your local Department of Social Services. Like for Roanoke County, you can call 387-6087. And there's also a national hotline number. And it is 1-800-552-7096. 1-800-552-7096. You can also call your local police department. If you feel it's an emergency, you call 911.
Right. Report that. Okay. And then, Ben, talk about fostering children who have been abused or neglected. That's another option for people.
So if a child has been involved with our CPS team, they may not be able to stay safely with their family or family friend in an emergency. So we oftentimes utilize foster care and foster families for that reason. If one of our viewers is called to work with children at risk for abuse and neglect, and maybe be part of the solution, I invite them to call me. My number is 283-8844, and we can talk about whether this is the right time for them to explore becoming a foster family for our locality.
Okay, great. Well, there's certainly a lot of admiration for what you all do. I know it's very much behind the scenes work that you do, and naturally it's very confidential, so we don't hear about it out in the public or in the news.
They can never say when they've been successful, and they can never defend themselves in the media. So they're just the quiet warriors out there every day trying to keep children safe the best they can, and I'm very proud of all their work.
Yeah, quiet warriors. That seems like a very good name for what you all do. Thank you. Well, that's great. Thank you for talking about this, giving people a better understanding of what Child Protective Services does behind the scenes, and certainly talking about the month of April and what it means.
Excellent.
Thank you for being with us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Wendy Schultz, Tourism and Event Coordinator for Roanoke County, and I'm here at Explore Park, milepost 115 off the Blue Ridge Parkway, and I would love to chat with you about our upcoming Artisan Saturday on April 27th. We are going to highlight a lot of the artisans that you see here today in our gift shop. They will be here, they will be demonstrating their craft, they will be inviting the public to ask them questions, to look at all of their beautiful crafts, and also to talk about, how maybe they could get some kind of a spark and get excited about maybe get involved in making handmade crafts themselves. It's just a wonderful day. It starts at 10 a.m. and ends at 3 p.m. We also have food vendors, we have music, we have children's craft activities. Plus you could come early and you could tour the park, take a hike. It's just going to be a fabulous day in the park. We actually usually do 3 of these throughout the season. We'll do another one in June and another in August. And each one of them is a little bit different. As a matter of fact, our April 27th date is also going to be an opportunity where you can meet our partners who are doing some of the camping in the park. It is our camping open house. We have Blue Mountain Adventures with primitive camping with wonderful, wonderful tent sites. Just come on down, talk with them, see what it's like to get out and, spend the night in the woods. We also have Don's Cabins will be with us as well. They will be highlighting their cabins and their yurts where you can come. And that's a little more glamorous kind of camping in the park, but it's just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for these folks to talk with you about opportunities that are here. And you can also explore all of the other amenities that we'll be developing in the park over time. But I can't, stress enough how wonderful an opportunity is for folks to come out, enjoy the day, enjoy Artisan Saturday. It's a totally free event. Come out, enjoy the park, look at all of the crafts folks, talk with them, and have a wonderful day in the park. And if you'd like to find out more information about Artisan Saturdays as well as other activities in the park, please go to our website, www.explorepark.org.
We're out here in the Hollins area today of Roanoke County talking with Philip Thompson from our Planning Department and Jay Brinchek from our Economic Development Department.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here today. So we've had a lot of exciting things going on out in this area for the last year or two. And so Philip, tell us now, there's a Hollins draft plan that's been in the works for a while. Tell us about that plan.
Sure. So the Reimagined Hollins plan is a neighborhood plan that's part of our comprehensive plan. So what we're looking at is what is the long-term 20 years horizon, what we want to see this area develop into, both from a land use standpoint, a transportation standpoint, a community facility standpoint, and also how do we protect our natural and cultural resources as well.
And Jay, there's a lot of economic development impact tied into the planning here. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, this area in Hollins has the largest concentration of employment in the region. We've got a wide diverse of industries. We have Wells Fargo, which it literally has thousands of employees in the financial sector. We have Double Envelope with a large employment base in manufacturing, and we've got Harris, who's in high tech. We've also had some new businesses come into the area. We have a number of hotels here, but we had True by Hilton just open a couple of months ago. That's a Hilton brand that's really being marketed toward millennials and the type of amenities they want. So it's located here where it's walking distance to Carvin's Cove, and it's also connected to the greenways. And so that's one. And we also have a coffee shop that just opened up. It's actually a chain. It's the Dunkin' Donuts. But I think when we start talking about the types of feedback we got from participants in the study, that there's room for more coffee shops, more types of entertainment type of investment in the area.
Okay, so a lot going on. And you mentioned the feedback. How is that data collected?
So for the planning study, we've had a variety of community meetings, and also associated with those community meetings, we had surveys for both of those so people could provide input online. We also interviewed, 20 or 30 different organizations and had stakeholder interviews. So all of that information hopefully will be incorporated into the plan.
Okay, and I understand that there were some community meetings held very recently to reveal the draft plan. Tell us a little bit about those community meetings.
Sure. So we had a community meeting on March 23rd and March 25th in Hollins. And so the whole purpose of that meeting is for them to give feedback, not only of what we heard, kind of revalidate what we heard, but also give feedback on recommendations. And so therefore, whether that's transportation improvements, whether that's community facilities, whether that's land use, give them an opportunity to actually get into the recommendations based on their original feedback and give us additional feedback into what they would like to see happen first.
Okay. And now if people weren't able to go to the community meetings, is there another opportunity for them to ask questions or give input?
Sure. So the same information that we have at the community meetings, they'll be able to participate in that online, and that'll be open until April 26th. So if they want to provide that feedback, they can give it to us online, and we'll review that just as well as the feedback from the community meetings.
Okay, and this is the Hollins plan. It's just one of several reimagined planning studies going on in the county. I think there's another one coming up as well, correct?
Right, so we also are doing the Oak Grove area. Same process, same type of information that we've gathered. Those community meetings are May 2nd and May 4th. And again, we'll have another opportunity for them to provide input electronically. I forget what the date is, May, but for several weeks after the community meetings, 3 or 4 weeks after the community meeting.
Okay, and people can look online to find that information.
Correct.
Okay, RoanokeCountyVA.gov. We go to the planning section.
Or just there's the icon on the homepage. You just click on the icon, it'll take you right to where you need to be.
Okay, great. And so, Jay, for your department, what does this mean, these reimagined studies that we're doing?
Once the draft is actually approved, it enables us to market the area for businesses, a more wider, diverse number of types of businesses. The types of businesses that citizens told us they want to see, such as coffee shops. We've got some great restaurants in the area, but they'd like to see more restaurants. So we can start to connect people who want to invest in the area with commercial brokers, with property owners, so that we can start to do the things that the community is looking for. And we can share the type of demographic and information, business data that any investor wants. For example, this is right off of exit 146. It's a very busy exit. It's got the high employment in this area, so it's perfect for fitness centers, entertainment, coffee shops. Those are the types of things that people want to see.
Okay, and how about for the planning office? What opportunities does this present for you all?
So there's obviously, when we have a set of recommendations, we'll start working on implementation. So do we look at our zoning ordinances or other development ordinances, and do we have to make tweaks to that to allow the type of development we want to see? Do we look at what other funding we want to see for transportation projects? We've gotten a lot of funding for pedestrian projects in this area, but what are the next ones? Do we continue to work in put sidewalk down Plantation Road? Do we look at Williamson Road? Do we try to make a connection to Waldron Park? So it'll be trying to prioritizing those projects. That's what the feedback will hopefully help us with. We're trying to seek funding for those types of projects.
Okay, well, there's certainly a lot going on out here, and for both of your departments, I know you all keep very busy with these plans and working with the businesses in the community to determine what they would love to see in the area. So thank you for all of your work, and I hope we can get another update from you all soon.
Great, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I'm Brian Klingenpeel, and I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for Roanoke County Fire and Rescue. Spring has sprung and warm sunny days are right around the corner, and that means a lot of people are going to be taking advantage of the hiking trails in our area. So we want to remind you of some hiking safety tips today. A lot of what we need to remind you of today simply has to do with being prepared. When Roanoke County Fire and Rescue goes out on the trail to make rescues, many times what we find is it's because people are simply not prepared for the hike that they have undertaken. So we're going to look today at how to dress properly, some of the things you need to have with you, and being informed. So let's start with your day pack and some of the things that you need to have in your day pack. I've got a little checklist for you. First, that pack needs to have some wide straps. You don't want a little pack that has strings. If it's got a lot of weight to it, that's going to begin to cut into your shoulders. So you want a pack that has wide straps to help evenly distribute that weight. Also, you want to have water. Plenty of water. They recommend about 1 liter per person for the day hike that you're going on, maybe 2 to 3 liters per person if it's going to be an especially long hike or if it's going to be especially hot. It's always a good idea to have some extra water on hand. Never know, if you don't use it, maybe you can help somebody else out on the trail who needs some water. Also, it's a good idea to have some snacks, something that's going to give you a little bit of energy. Again, if your hike takes you longer than maybe you thought it was going to, it's good to be able to refuel while you're out on the trail. Also, you would want to have a whistle just to be able to signal rescuers if you do get lost, if it's after dark and we're trying to find you. A whistle is a very good thing to have so that we can hear you and at least come in your direction. You would also want to have a map, maybe of the trail that you're on, or a compass as well. Those kinds of things are very helpful to keep you from getting lost. You would also want to have sunscreen and some sunglasses just to protect you. It's quite sunny even today, and so those things can help you as you're on the trail. Please make sure that you have dressed appropriately, whatever that means for the season that you're on, for the elevation that you're hiking. We want you to be prepared with several layers of warm clothing, or if it's hot, make sure that you've dressed appropriately for that weather. You'll of course want to have a hat, maybe take along a raincoat or a poncho to protect you if weather moves in as well. We also want to make sure that you're going to have a cell phone. That's your link to help if you do get lost or somebody gets hurt. And one of the things we want to remind you is just to maybe put that cell phone on airplane mode. That helps you to conserve some battery power so that if you do need it later, you can use it. You may also want to consider a battery pack and a charging cord that you could use from your pack in case your cell phone dies while you're out on the trail. You've got that. If you're hiking in especially cold weather, you would want to keep your cell phone in a pocket that's close to your body. The cold weather can really zap the battery power, so you want that cell phone kept close to your body so that it stays warm and you can use it if you need it. If it's raining, then you're going to want to put that cell phone in a Ziploc bag to help protect it as well. You also are going to probably want some kind of first aid kit or first aid items, whether that be Band-Aids, some first aid spray, any medicines that you think you may need. Those are always good things to take along. Something to help in case you get a blister would be a good idea while you're hiking on the trail. It's also a very good idea to have a flashlight. Again, you never know when your hike might take you longer, something might happen and you're going to be out after dark. That flashlight is going to prove to be invaluable. And then we also just want you to really be informed. So please check the weather forecast for where you're going to hike before you go, and make sure that there's not any kind of severe weather, whether that be snow or a thunderstorm that's going to impact your hike. We want you to know that ahead of time. You can also check on certain websites to just make sure of the status of the trail. Maybe there's a section of the trail that's going to be closed today, and so that's good information to have. I'll give you a website at the end that gives you all kinds of information about the Appalachian Trail and helps you to be informed before you head out on your hike. It's also a very good idea to let somebody know where you're going and when you expect to be back, so that if you aren't back at a certain time, they can kind of initiate a search for you, start to get you some help if you're not back by a prescribed time. And we also have a starting point to know where to look for you from that point. Please hydrate before you go on the hike. That's very, very important. I mentioned taking water along, but it's a good idea before you go to make sure that you have had plenty of water. It's okay to have eaten before you go on the hike. We want you to be well fueled for your hike, but just you may not want to go start an uphill hike on a very full stomach. So keep that in mind as well. Roanoke County Fire and Rescue just really wants you to be safe on the trails that are in our area. We want you to enjoy the beauty of the natural world that surrounds us, but we want you to do that safely and be prepared. So we hope that you'll take these safety tips at heart. If you'd like more information on these safety tips or any others, please feel free to contact me at 777-8718, or you can go to AppalachianTrail.org and find all kinds of hiking safety information there as well.
We're out here at beautiful Explorer Park talking with Scott Ramsberg from Parks, Recreation and Tourism. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we want to talk about all things parks and recreation and tourism, and let's just start here at Explorer Park. What's coming up in April?
Well, it's a really exciting time to be a part of the Explorer Park family right now. We're seeing the adventure plan that we've been developing the past few years based on community input finally come to life, and you're seeing the fruits of that behind us here. There are 4 cabins and 4 yurts that are already in place, taking reservations for the spring and summer. We have primitive camping throughout the park. We have tents that you can rent. All kinds of ways to come out here and recreate, and the list is growing all of the time. Just every time you come out here, it's almost as if I'm surprised and I work here.
Right.
But we can only do it with the help of our vendor partners. For example, Don's Cabins is a local company that's constructed these cabins and yurts. Blue Mountain Adventures is operating our primitive camping area, tent area. They're building river platforms as well, and possibly even offering tubing starting Memorial Day.
Wow.
So it couldn't be done without all of these vendor partners.
Sure, and not too far from here, horseback riding too.
Exactly.
Correct?
I couldn't forget Reba Farm has partnered with us to offer horseback programs and classes. Starting in April, pretty much every weekend you can find something to do if you reserve your space online at RoanokeCountyParks.com. That's a combination of trail rides, Western horseback riding lessons, and some horseback events. And then when summer rolls around, our summer camps are also enrolling. We have pretty much a horseback summer camp every week at the new Niagara Ranch.
Okay, great. And speaking of summer camps, I'm sure there are plenty of other camps coming up, so tell us about those.
Well, if you add it all up, we have over 200 weeks of programming for ages 3 to 17. So there's a lot to choose from. We're one of the area's largest providers of camp services, and that's anywhere from half-day programs that are themed pop culture type of camps to full-day programs both at Camp Roanoke and Explore Park and Green Ridge Recreation Center to overnight camps that are found at Camp Roanoke. I want to talk particularly, since we're here at Explore Park, we've increased the lineup of programs here. These are full-day programs for tweens and teens mostly. These include a mountain biking program, paddling program, some environmental education camps as well, and programs that are at Explore Park. With the exception of horseback riding, most of the other programs here you can drop your kids off at Tanglewood Mall in the morning and pick them up there in the afternoon as well. Same goes for Camp Roanoke, has the drop-off availability at Tanglewood Mall.
Right, very convenient for everyone.
Absolutely, there's plenty to choose from, and it's very convenient. And camp itself is such an enriching part of a child's life. When they're not around the social components of school every day, what are they going to do but spend the summer playing video games? You want to encourage folks to be outdoor and active, and that's what these camps are all about, as well as the enrichment and encouragement that comes from our trained professional staff here.
Sure. And how can people sign up? Is that open yet online?
Absolutely. We've had it open since February. You can sign up at RoanokeCountyParks.com/camps. We even have something on their website that will allow you to choose based on either age group or the week, so you can really plan your schedule for the whole summer.
Very convenient. Okay, that's great. I know I've looked at those, trying to line up things for the summer. It's very easy to do.
Anyone who has kids knows that it can be a challenge, but we try to make it as easy as possible and offer a lot of variety for the kids.
Sure. And talk a little bit about Splash Valley. I know kids and adults love to go to Splash Valley, and that should be opening soon too.
Soon, yeah. It's going to be May 25th, Memorial Day, Saturday. We're going to be open all the way through Labor Day. It's another exciting time. We've got 2.5-story water slides, a current river on the property as well. It's just a really great place to spend the day if you don't have the time to drive out to the beach. We call it a day at the beach without a drive at Splash Valley Water Park. Season pass sales are actually going on right now, and you can get a discount if you purchase those passes by the end of April. So the time is quickly closing to get the discount on those season pass that allows you unlimited visits throughout the summer. Other changes to the park this year, we've increased the number of special event nights. So every Friday night starting in mid-June through early August, we're going to be open until 10 o'clock p.m. with a different themed activity every night, like 80s night, Western night, trivia night. So there's really something for everyone at Splash Valley.
A good variety for every age group, certainly.
Always a reason to come back.
And you mentioned one of the specials at Splash Valley. Are there any specials for camps, early registration and whatnot?
Sure. Our overnight and full day programs at Camp Roanoke and Explore Park have a $25 early bird discount if you register within a certain number of days prior to the camp. So as earlier you get that registration, the better. The rest of our programs that don't have that discount, we are offering a new discount of $5 off all of our programs if you fill in your health form first. So we ask that you go to RoanokeCountyParks.com/camps, submit your health form. At the end of the health form process, there's a coupon code, and this applies to all of our programs, a $5 discount. Just encourage families to get those in ahead of time.
Sure. That makes it very affordable and efficient for families, especially who have multiple children might be involved.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. Okay, well, there's a lot going on in Parks Recreation, I know all year round, but particularly with summer coming up, there's just added camps and many more opportunities.
And
Great.
special events as well at Explore Park. We've got an event coming up on April 27th, which is an Artisan Saturday and a camping open house, coming full circle back to these tents and yurts and cabins. Get a look inside them, meet the vendors that are helping make it possible on the 27th. And then we're also offering other programs throughout the spring and summer, partnering with the National Park Service, so you can look for those at explorepark.org.
Okay, and where can people find all of this information?
RoanokeCountyParks.com for general programs and information, explorepark.org for Explore-specific information such as camping, cabin rental.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for the update, and we look forward to hearing from you more about some other exciting things going on.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks, Amy.
Okay.